Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopeful elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Got to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, the Most High, the Heavenly Father. His Hebrew name is Yahweh, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahaya, not Allah, not Abba, not Yahuwah, not Hashem, not Yahweh, Haveh, Vaveh. It's Yahweh. And his only God's son name in the Hebrew is Yahushua. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua, not Yehusha, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos. It's Yahushua. So we got to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rekah, Quadash. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether accepted or not. And a sincere salutation to all the Akim believing this truth and pushing this truth toward the four ends of the earth, the entire world, shedding light to the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Agwath who are listening learning, you sisters who are listening learning. I'm outside from GMS Atlanta, Camp Prophet of Doom, coming into my lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification. And the day of edification, Lord wills be edified. And this is copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Copyright disclaimer, again, under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing non-profit, educational, or personal use tips to balance in favor of fair use. This is for educational purposes only. This is not for monetary gain. I do not own the copyright to this video. This is for educational purposes only, Lord willing. This be edifying. And I'm going to title this lesson,
When Washington simultaneously sanctions Venezuela while secretly begging for its oil, you're not witnessing diplomatic confusion. You're watching the final collapse of the petrodollar system that has sustained American hegemony for half a century. The mainstream narrative tells us this is about democracy versus authoritarianism. But strip away the moral theater, and what emerges is far more desperate. The United States has painted itself into an economic corner where it must now negotiate with the very regimes it once sought to destroy. For decades, America's energy dominance rested on a simple formula: control the oil, control the currency, control the world. Venezuela, sitting on the planet's largest proven oil reserves, was supposed to be the crown jewel. Instead, it has become the graveyard where American imperial ambitions go to die. But the real story begins with a miscalculation so fundamental that it reveals everything wrong with Washington's understanding of the modern world. 20 years ago, U.S. strategists saw Venezuela as an easy target: socialist government, economic vulnerabilities, perfect for regime change through strangulation. Suffocate them financially, watch them collapse, install a compliant government, harvest the resources. Except Venezuela didn't read the script. Instead of capitulating, they proved you can sell oil without American permission. While Washington celebrated devastating sanctions, Venezuela quietly built the world's first post-dollar oil trading system: Chinese yuan, cryptocurrency, barter mechanisms with Russia and Iran. Each transaction outside the dollar system cracked the foundation of American financial hegemony. But here's where the story takes its most revealing turn. The very success of these sanctions created an existential crisis for the United States itself. You see, America's refineries along the Gulf Coast weren't built for the light, sweet crude from Texas fracking. They were engineered 50 years ago to process heavy, sour crude, exactly what Venezuela produces. Without Venezuelan heavy crude, these refineries can't produce enough diesel to keep America's transportation networks running. This creates an existential crisis. The country supposed to be brought to its knees by sanctions has become indispensable to American energy security. Every day, these refineries operate below capacity edges, America's supply chains closer to crisis. So we arrive at the surreal spectacle of 2024 and 2025, U.S. diplomats quietly returning to Caracas, issuing exemptions to companies like Chevron, and essentially begging the same government they've spent 2 decades trying to overthrow to please turn the oil pumps back on. This isn't diplomacy. This is surrender disguised as pragmatism. But the Venezuelan oil dilemma is just one symptom of a much larger disease eating away at American power, the terminal crisis of the petrodollar system itself. Since 1971, when Nixon took the dollar off gold, America operated an exorbitant privilege. They printed dollars, the world gave them real goods. Oil was the mechanism. Every country needed dollars for energy, so every country held dollar reserves, effectively subsidizing American consumption. This allowed massive trade deficits for decades without consequences. Endless wars, global military bases, consuming more than they produced, all because the world needed their currency for oil. But now, as Venezuela has demonstrated, that monopoly is breaking down, and the implications reach far beyond energy markets. When countries start trading oil in yuan, rubles, or even digital currencies, they're not just changing payment methods. They're declaring independence from a financial system that has kept them subordinate to Washington for generations. Each oil transaction outside the dollar system reduces global demand for dollars, which threatens the very foundation of American economic power. The Federal Reserve has printed trillions of dollars over the past decade, flooding global markets with liquidity. Under the old system, this excess currency would flow overseas, absorbed by countries that needed dollars for oil purchases. But if oil importing nations can pay in their own currencies or gold, those excess dollars come flooding back to America, bringing with them the inflation that has been exported to the rest of the world for 50 years. This is why Venezuela represents more than just an energy challenge for Washington. It's a preview of a world where American currency manipulation is no longer subsidized by global oil demand, and the timing couldn't be worse for the United States. At precisely the moment when the petrodollar system is under unprecedented stress, America faces the most expensive period of imperial maintenance in its history. Containing China in the Pacific requires enormous military expenditures. Propping up NATO expansion demands constant financial commitments. Maintaining global surveillance networks burns through billions annually. All of this imperial infrastructure was built assuming that America would always be able to print money and export the inflation to oil-dependent nations. But when those nations can buy energy without dollars, suddenly America has to live within its means for the first time in half a century. This brings us to the real tragedy of American policy in Venezuela. By trying to destroy the Maduro government, Washington actually accelerated the very trends that are now destroying American financial hegemony. If you're finding this analysis eye-opening, if it's helping you see through the surface-level narratives to the deeper systemic changes reshaping our world, I need you to do something important. Subscribe to this channel. Your subscription ensures that content like this continues to reach people who are ready to think beyond mainstream explanations. The sanctions on Venezuela were never really about human rights or democracy. They were about preventing exactly what has now happened, the emergence of alternative systems that challenge dollar dominance in energy markets. But by pushing Venezuela into the arms of China, Russia, and Iran, American strategists created the very alliance they feared most. Instead of an isolated, weakened Venezuela that would eventually capitulate, they face a Venezuela that has become the testing ground for every technology and financial mechanism designed to circumvent American economic power. Chinese digital payment systems, Russian oil for goods barter arrangements, Iranian tanker networks that operate outside Western insurance systems. All of these innovations were refined and perfected in the cauldron of Venezuela's survival struggle against American sanctions. Now these same technologies and networks are being exported to other sanctioned nations, creating a parallel global economy that operates independently of American oversight. The bitter irony is that American sanctions have become the greatest teacher of financial independence the world has ever seen. Every country that survives American economic warfare emerges stronger, more self-reliant, and more committed to building alternatives to dollar-based systems. Russia survived sanctions and doubled down on resource nationalism. Iran developed indigenous technologies and regional payment networks. North Korea built the economy that thrives in isolation. And now all of their innovations are being shared and improved upon, creating a knowledge base for resisting American economic coercion. Venezuela's contribution to this resistance ecosystem has been perhaps the most significant of all, because it proved that even relatively small nations can maintain sovereignty over their energy resources in the face of overwhelming American pressure. But here's the development that should terrify American strategic planners more than anything else: China's role in this new ecosystem. When American sanctions forced Venezuela to find alternative buyers, China stepped in as strategic partner in building post-dollar infrastructure. Chinese banks provided financing. Chinese companies built refineries. Chinese experts developed new extraction technologies. This wasn't charity. Strategic investment in a world where China doesn't need American permission for energy resources. Every barrel of Venezuelan oil flowing to China in yuan rather than dollars reduces dollar demand.
Hey, and see what Babylon the Great is doing is showing the other nations, its allies, how stout they are and how really they don't care, man. I want to get this real quick. This is Daniel's 7 in verse 19. It reads, "Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others." Now this fourth beast is talking about the Roman Empire. In America is the revival Roman Empire. "Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes." And this horn that had eyes is America, Babylon the Great, "and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows." This is representing America, Babylon the Great. And the elites control the world from America and Israel. This is Obadiah 1 and 7. But this is what this Edomite is bringing out. This is the Lord showing you how we are living in a failed system. We're just waiting on it to collapse. America, Babylon the Great, forced the world to join sides with the sword, man. As you know, you got these other nations, because the Russians, these Edomites, it tell you in Revelations 13 that these 7 horns, these 7 head and 10 horn beasts is an Edomite system, and Russia is not a part of this system. But at the same time, all the world is pushing forth the digital infrastructure for the mark of the beast. But they are separated. This is the separation of the Edomites. And as it tell you in Daniel 2, what's that, verse 43, "They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another." All the heathen nations want the self-proclaimed so-called white man gone, but the Lord is just giving them a better option for destruction, which is the Russian Edomite. This is Obadiah 1:7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. For this to read and prevail against thee, I mean, this is a future prophecy. This is a future judgment of Babylon the Great being left alone with no allies. And even Japan wants some get back, man. And America forced the world to pick a side through the sword, man. And that's the so-called white man. That's his MO. Look at Russia, United Kingdom, right? All of Europe, all of Asia Minor, because ain't no damn Europe. But Great Britain, all these are Edomite systems, man. And they are not on one accord. But America's look is more stout than its fellows. And this is what I tell you in Jeremiah. Let me go here real quick. This is Jeremiah 50. This is Jeremiah 50 and verse 12. It reads, Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, and who is the mother of America, Babylon the Great? Great Britain. Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations, which is America, Babylon the Great, shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. See, because of the wrath of Yahweh, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at her plagues. This ain't happening to ancient Babylon. Didn't no plagues hit ancient Babylon. It was taken over by the Medes and Persians. And then the self-proclaimed so-called white man came in, Alexander the Freak, and took over the Medes and Persians. So there wasn't no plagues that hit Babylon the Great. This is talking about America. Let's go back to Obadiah. Obadiah 1:7, it reads, All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread, because every nation, all the ports that's in America come from every other country, man. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. And to back this up, they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. Show you that these nations, everybody benefits off America, Babylon the Great. Hey, because they was forced by the sword, hey, to bring their goods, or America go in your country and take. That Revelation 18, it say all the merchantmen, when they saw the smoke of her burning, man, they was wailing because of it. But the point is, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. When you go to the translation on this, this is Revelations 1, Obadiah 1:7. Let's get a different translation. You got the NLT read, all your allies will turn against you. They will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you, and you won't even know about it. Right? Let's get NIV. All your allies will force you to the border. I mean, you got to fight. And America gonna be left alone, standing alone to fight. All your allies will force you to the border. Your friends will deceive and overpower you, and that's prophecy of America being destroyed by Russia and the other nations. Your friends will deceive and overpower you. Those who eat your bread will set a trap for you, but you would not detect it. Just like America ain't gonna detect the missiles that's gonna come over here. Let's read the NET. All your allies will force you from your homeland. What did the Lord say in Joel 2:20? I shall drive you into a land barren and desolate. right? I will remove from you the north army and drive them to a land barren and desolate. Hey, and once the Lord remove Babylon the Great's military completely into that land barren and desolate, America gonna be open for the taking, man. All your allies will force you from your homeland. Your treaty partners will deceive you and overpower you. Your trusted friends will set an ambush for you that will take you by surprise. This is what we're watching happen to America, Babylon the Great. Let's go back to this video. And this is what I call the Antiochus Herod effect, man. This is a slow and painful death from the inside out. The Lord is slowly,
multiply across dozens of countries and hundreds of millions of barrels, and you understand why American policymakers panic. The numbers are stark. In 2000, nearly 90% of global oil transactions were denominated in dollars. Today, that figure has dropped to around 60% and is falling rapidly. At current trends, dollar-denominated oil trade could represent less than half of global transactions within the next decade. This collapse in dollar demand from energy markets is already having real consequences for American economic.
And I want to make another point too, because when you read how the Lord got this devil set up, man, talking about the so-called white man, everything that he done, because the Lord said, matter of fact, if I can go back real quick to Jeremiah 50, right? Look at this. This is Jeremiah 50. In verse 10 it reads, and Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith Yahweh. Hey, America is the modern day. The Chaldeans are these warlocks, these witches, and that'll be the elites today. Your Oppenheimers, DuPonts, Gettys, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, right? These elite families. They are witches and warlocks. So they are the modern day Chaldeans. And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith Yahweh. Because ye were glad, because ye rejoice, O ye destroyers of mine heritage, because you are grown fat as the heifer at grass and bellows as bulls. So in all cow, the heifer is a cow, and all cows do is eat grass all day, man. So the Lord said, because you rejoice, O you destroyers of mine heritage. So what the Lord is doing to the so-called white man is the same thing that they did to the Israelites, man. And as the Lord said, when the self-proclaimed white man said his nest amongst the stars, then so the Lord started to bring him down, man. Going back to the point I love to bring out about women trousers, right? Making pants for women. The so-called white woman did that, man. But who gave her access to do that? The so-called white man, the self-proclaimed white man. The Lord was bringing them down. It was the so-called white woman that was at the plantations first with all that Equality Act right movement for women, right? What did the so-called white man do? What did the Lord use? What did the Lord let the so-called white man do? Destroy the black, the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, West Indian, Haitian home, 144 Kalaya Bashumabasha, by taking away the woman, removing the man, right? Was that Mark 3:27? Let me show you, man. See, the Lord is doing this. The Lord is doing to the self-proclaimed so-called white man what the so-called white man did to us. This is Mark 3 and verse 27. It reads, no man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods. See what the Lord said in Jeremiah 50? Chaldea shall be a spoil. No man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods except he will first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. And what happened after that? This. Once the so-called white man took away the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, West Indian, Haitian man, then this is what happened. Proverbs 14:1, every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. So when the Lord used the so-called white man to remove the man from the house of the Negro, Latino, Native American, West Indian, and Haitian, the woman became fools, and they destroyed their houses. So what the Lord is doing, going back to this in Jeremiah 50, remember, it said right here, Jeremiah 50:10, and Chaldea shall be a spoil, and all that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Lord. And they spoiled us. Right? They removed the strong man and spoiled the house. Right? So here it is, the Lord doing the same thing to them that they did to us. The so-called white woman on the plantation with pants on. That was a two-piece combo of the so-called white woman on the plantation with pants on. That was the that was the downfall of the so-called white man. And the Lord used them. Because who gave this white woman rights to create trousers for women? Who opened up the doors for women to say we want to work too? The so-called white man did. Because even this guy, Aaron Russo, he said Nick Rockefeller, made the point that what you think Women Live was all about. We did that. But it was them bringing down their own. And that's why I said in Obadiah 1, the so-called white man is stupid, man. He's stupid. He have no understanding, man. Right here, Obadiah 1:7, at the bottom it say, there is no understanding in him, man. He don't have no understanding. Why? Because the Lord said he removed the wisdom out of Edom, man. Look here. Verse 8, Obadiah 1:8. Shall I not in that day, saith Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and the understanding out of Mount of Esau? They don't have no fucking understanding, man. The so-called white man, he's a tool for the Lord. And the Lord said it when you go to Isaiah. This is Isaiah 10, right? It reads here, Isaiah 10 in verse 3. And what will ye do in the day of visitation? Because look, the Lord said he used this dummy, right, to bring down Jake, right here. Isaiah 1. Isaiah 10:1, Salakia. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people. To take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. And what will ye do in the day of visitation thereof? And in the desolation which shall come from far, to whom will ye flee for help? And where will you leave your glory? Because it's sitting over in Jeremiah 50:10, Chaldea shall be a spoil, right? Look at this verse 4. Without me, thou shalt bow down. Listen to this, man. Without me, they shall bow down under the prisoners. Because the Lord put a hedge around Esau. This is Psalm 7:3-5. They are not in trouble as other men. If it had not been for the Lord covering the so-called white man, going back to Cain, when the Lord said, whosoever slave Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. So the Lord say right here, Isaiah 10:4, without me, they should bow down under the prisoners, and they shall fall under the slain. The prisoner and the slain is talking about Israelites. For all this, his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still to the remnant of Israel. O Assyrian, the rod of my anger, and the staff in their hand is my indignation. See, I will send him against a hypocritical nation. The hypocritical nation is the 12 tribes of Israel, so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, West Indians, and Haitians. And against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge to do what, Lord? To take the spoil and to take the prey, and they trend them down like the mire of the streets. See? Look, verse 7. Howbeit, he meaneth not so, neither doeth his heart think so. Like Obadiah said, there is none understanding. The Lord removed the wisdom of the so-called white man. He's a tool. Tools don't got wisdom. They get used. A hand grab a tool and they go to work. But it is in his heart to destroy and cut off nations, not a few. Now look at this. I've been going into this recently. This verse 12. Wherefore it shall come to pass that when the Lord hath performed his whole work upon Mount Zion and on Jerusalem, when the Lord put the chastening on the remnant of Israel, right? He said Ecclesiasticus 17 and 18, the Lord say he disciplined us, he nourished us with discipline, right? Jeremiah, was that 31? Jeremiah 30, the Lord said, he will not leave us altogether unpunished, right? But he will correct us in measure. So the Lord said right here, Isaiah 10 and 12, wherefore it shall come to pass that when the Lord hath performed his whole work on Mount Zion and on Jerusalem, I will punish the fruit of the stout heart of the king of Assyria, talking about the so-called white man, and the glory of his high looks. See, they're talking about Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. The Lord is putting on them what they did to us. What the Lord said in Jeremiah, man. This is Jeremiah 31 and 22. How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For Yahweh hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall come past a man. And what's happening right now in the earth? The so-called white man, woman has came past them. They still control the power. But they letting women do this. Not understanding
power.
the Lord.
The Federal
really
Reserve's ability to export inflation through currency creation is diminishing. Interest rates that once seemed manageable are becoming unsustainable as global dollar demand weakens. The result is a vicious cycle where America needs to print more money to maintain its imperial commitments. But each new dollar printed reduces global confidence in dollar stability, which further reduces demand for dollars, which requires even more money printing. Venezuela, by successfully resisting economic warfare and pioneering alternatives to dollar-based energy trade, has accelerated this cycle to a breaking point. And this brings us to the most unsettling reality of all. American policymakers know all of this, but they're trapped by the very system they created. They can't abandon sanctions on Venezuela without admitting that 2 decades of policy have been not just unsuccessful, but counterproductive. They can't restore normal economic relations without acknowledging that the sanctions regime itself has become a greater threat to American interests than any action taken by the Venezuelan government. So instead, we get the surreal theater of quiet exemptions, backdoor negotiations, and diplomatic signals that contradict official policy. American companies are allowed to maintain infrastructure in Venezuela. Technical specialists are permitted to ensure safety compliance. Oil shipments are approved for humanitarian purposes. All of this is elaborate theater to disguise a simple reality. America needs Venezuela more than Venezuela needs America. The refineries on the Gulf Coast weren't built to process West Texas shale oil. They require heavy crude, and Venezuela has the world's largest supply of exactly that type of oil. No amount of technological innovation or infrastructure investment can change this fundamental geological reality. This dependency creates a strategic vulnerability that no amount of military spending can address. You can't bomb your way to energy security when your own economic system depends on resources controlled by your adversaries. And Venezuela is no longer isolated. Chinese naval vessels patrol Caribbean waters. Russian specialists maintain critical infrastructure. Iranian tanker networks ensure continued exports. Military action against Venezuela wouldn't target a small, isolated nation. It would attack a node in a global alliance, including the world's largest economy, its most experienced military, and its most innovative sanctions resistance networks. American threats have become hollow because Venezuela has become economically indispensable and geopolitically protected. The real question facing American strategists is not how to overthrow the Venezuelan government, but how to manage the decline of dollar hegemony without triggering a complete collapse of American living standards. Because that's what's really at stake here. The Venezuelan crisis isn't about a small South American nation defying American wishes. It's about the end of the financial arrangements that have allowed Americans to consume far more than they produce for the past 50 years. When the petrodollar system finally collapses, and Venezuela's success suggests that collapse is accelerating, Americans will discover what the rest of the world has always known. You can't print wealth indefinitely without consequences. The imported goods that stock American shelves, the cheap energy that powers American industry, the global deference that American leaders take for granted, all of this has been subsidized by a monetary system that forced other nations to hold dollars regardless of American behavior. But if oil can be purchased with yuan, if international trade can be conducted through alternative payment systems, if nations can maintain economic growth without accumulating dollar reserves, then America loses its ability to export the costs of its consumption to the rest of the world. This is the real reason why Venezuela matters so much to American strategists, not because it threatens American security, but because it demonstrates that American economic dominance is no longer inevitable. The sanctions were supposed to be a demonstration of American power, the ability to strangle any economy that defied Washington's wishes. Instead, they became a demonstration of American weakness, the inability to adapt to a multipolar world where other nations have genuine alternatives. Every day that Venezuela survives and thrives outside the dollar system is another day that proves to the rest of the world that American economic threats are no longer as credible as they once were. And once that credibility is lost, it can never be recovered through force. Military power can destroy cities and topple governments, but it cannot compel trust in a currency or confidence in an economic system. The Venezuela crisis represents the moment when American empire discovered the limits of its own power, not through military defeat, but through economic irrelevance. The country that was supposed to be brought to its knees is now teaching the world how to stand up. The sanctions that were supposed to demonstrate American strength have revealed American desperation. The regime that was supposed to collapse has instead presided over the collapse of American assumptions about global power. This is how empires end in the modern world, not with spectacular military defeats, but with the quiet recognition that their threats no longer frighten anyone, their currencies no longer command automatic respect, and their economic systems no longer serve the interests of anyone beyond their own borders. Venezuela's resistance to American sanctions has accelerated this recognition process dramatically. By proving that alternative systems work, by demonstrating that sovereignty can be maintained even against overwhelming pressure, by showing that there is life beyond the dollar, Venezuela has written the playbook that every other nation will follow as American hegemony continues to crumble. The tragedy for American citizens is that their leaders are so invested in maintaining the fiction of continued dominance that they refuse to adapt to this new reality. Instead of negotiating from a position of honesty about American limitations, they continue to make threats they cannot execute and promises they cannot keep. This guarantees that the transition away from American dominance will be as chaotic and destructive as possible for the American people themselves. A managed decline might preserve some degree of prosperity and international respect, but the current trajectory of escalating sanctions, empty threats, and diplomatic isolation ensures that when American power finally breaks, it will shatter completely. Venezuela's survival and success doesn't just represent a foreign policy failure for the United States. It represents a preview of the world that's coming, a world where American wishes matter less than American resources, where American threats inspire more defiance than compliance, and where American currency is just one option among many. The petrodollar system is dying, and Venezuela has provided both the cause of death and the blueprint for what comes next. The only question remaining is whether American leadership will adapt to this reality before it's too late, or whether they'll drive their country off the cliff of imperial overstretch in a futile attempt to restore a dominance that geography, economics, and history have already made impossible. The oil is flowing from Venezuela to China in yuan. The financial networks are operating outside dollar oversight. The alternative systems are proven and expanding. The American empire's most fundamental assumptions about global power have been systematically disproven by a country with a fraction of its military budget and economic resources. This is what the end of hegemony looks like in the modern world. Not dramatic and sudden, but inevitable and irreversible. And Venezuela has accelerated that inevitability beyond any possible reversal.
Hey, so look, we are in real time watching America, Babylon the Great, lose its allies, man. And the Lord said this was going to happen because of the stoutness, because of their stout. Their look was more stout than their fellows. Here it is. Look at this. It said, why does the U.S. fear the Venezuela, Iran, Russia alliance? Why? Because it's prophecy, man, with Iran and Russia. That's Ezekiel 38. And man, and it's the same old two-step, man. This is Psalm 64. And see, these devils is finna feel the pressure of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man. As every day turn, it's gonna turn for the worse for America, Babylon the Great. And the so-called white man as a nation of people. It's gonna turn for the worse every day we wake up, man. It's gonna get worse for the self-proclaimed so-called white man. And it's already happening for the regular so-called white man. It's already happening for them, man. They are feeling the pressure of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. This is Psalms 64:1. Hear my voice, O power, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the work of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. In their iniquity, man, this is the important, because this is all they do, man. They push this throughout the four corners of the earth. Let me come back to this. In Isaiah 32, it reads this, verse 5. The vile person shall no more be called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful, for the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity. This is what he do. All he do is work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy, and to utter error against Yahweh. This devil said everything that the Lord has done for the earth is wrong, and to utter error against Yahweh. Everything they have done. These devils, Klaus Schwab and Noah Yuval Harari and the rest of these slow-bellied Edomites talking about cows fart too much and all this emissions, and we got to get rid of them and create lab-grown meats and 3D printed meats and all. That's madness, man. This is him giving Alphabet Community Equality Act rights because Noah Yuval Harari is a fruit booty. So these devils, man, their job on earth is to what? For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart, his mind will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy, and to utter error against the Lord. They create fruits and vegetables that's not produced from the earth, man. Like cauliflower and broccoli, to make empty the souls of the hungry. And he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. And this is what they do by creating a false birthright, man. The instrument also the trail of evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. So he's destroying his own people. He's destroying life itself, man. Back in Psalm 64. Because the so-called white man is anti-life and pro-death. Psalm 64:2. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. He set up these different policies and legislations and his draconian measures, right? their democracy. Everything is about, because what they say, the pen is mightier than a sword. So this devil passed these different laws and, economic warfare is called. When you go look that up, go to Google or where the DuckDuckGo and look up economic warfare, man. This is what he do. And now, as this Edomite just said in his video, the trap that you set, the trap that you designed, this system, is backfiring on America, man. It's backfiring on America because, the allies of America, they have another option. America don't have another option, man. And that's what I might title the lesson. America doesn't have another option, man. They losing. And this devil is driving away his allies, like I read the different translations in Obadiah 1:7. Who with their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. So this chapter is about the so-called white man shooting in secret at the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in the evil matter. They communal land snares privily. They say, who shall see them? The angels are watching you. They search out iniquities. See what it said in Isaiah 32? He will speak, the devout person will speak villainy, right? And his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy and to utter error against Yahweh. They search out iniquity. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought and of every one of them. And the heart is deep, his mind. And why is his mind deep? Because it tell you in Proverbs 26, 7 abominations is in his heart, meaning the self-proclaimed so-called white man is completely wicked. But look, all that shooting at us they've been doing through passing these laws, covering themselves when they do some wickedness to a so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, West Indian, and Haitian. Verse 7, but God said shoot at them with an arrow. They've been shooting at us. And when you go to Psalms 83, what did Asaph say, man? Let's go back. Let's read this and I'm going to come back. Psalms 83. Psalms 83 and 1. Keep not silent, O power. Hold not thy peace and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. See, it's the Lord's enemies first before it's our enemies. But by default, the self-proclaimed so-called white man is the enemies of you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians because he's an enemy of Yahweh. By Hashem Yahweh Shah. Back in Psalm 64 and 7. Like a boy said in King of New York, nah, it's my turn. This is the Lord saying this. But God shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. If you see a person snitching on his own people, what good is he to you? So now the nations is fleeing from these bastards, man. And they ain't gonna have no allies. Look, verse 9. And all men shall fear and shall declare the work of power, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. Man, the world is considering the wickedness of the so-called white man. Let's go here. Hey, the Lord say, man, I got to get this. Let's get this first. Proverbs 26. See, now the world is seeing this devil wickedness because the Lord said he was going to make him bare and uncover his secret places. This is Proverbs 26 and 24. He that hateth dissembleth with his lips. See, it's the things that they speak because his look is more stout than his fellows and they think can't nobody tell him nothing, man. He that hateth dissembleth with his lips and layeth up the sea within him when he speaketh fair. Believe him not. Why, Lord? For there are 7 abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by the sea. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. So now the world is seeing this devil wickedness, man. Isaiah 13 in verse 17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which should not regard silver, and as for gold, they should not delight in it. See, verse 19, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of Chaldees' excellencies shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. With what? Missiles. The Lord overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah with fire and brimstone. And it tell you that in Isaiah, and when you read Revelations 9, it said, by these three, fire, smoke, and brimstone, America going to be destroyed. Isaiah 13 and 20, it shall never be inhabited, Babylon the Great, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation, neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. So we are watching these nations. Actually, we are watching America push its allies away. They are running their allies away. Revelation 17 and 16, and the 10 horns thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. So here it is, this America, Babylon the Great, by the force of the sword, caused these nations, they forced them with the sword to be allies, man, or they'll go in your land and take. What happened with us? Let's read this, dealing with Judah, Benjamin, Levi. During the time of the Romans, same thing happened with the Greeks. Matthew 11:12. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent take it by force. Who? Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man. Let's get this in Ezekiel to back that up. Ezekiel 35. It's by the force of the sword. This is how this devil get down, man. So right here, Ezekiel 35, it reads right here, Ezekiel 35 and 5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, which I just read to you in Matthew 11:12. In the time of their calamity, in the time of their iniquity had an end. See? So this devil, through the force of the sword, he gained these allies. And like I said, Revelation 17 and 17, the Lord put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of the Lord be fulfilled, which is the elect being sealed. Once the elect is completely sealed, all hell gonna break loose, man. In Ezekiel 38, here it is in Ezekiel 38. It's all over the news, man. Ezekiel 38 is mainstream media right now, man. Because it's Russia and Iran. Why Russia and Iran? The prophecies, man. This is the same as in Daniel 7, the Medes and the Persians conquering Babylon all over again. It's the same thing. But guess what? When these Medes and Persians conquer Babylon all over again, that's it, man. That's it. Then Yahweh shall come in and tear this bitch up, man. See? Ezekiel 38 and 1, and the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith Yahweh power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog. I'm against you too, because you're an Edomite. The chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, the old Soviet Union. And I will bring thee forth in all thy army. And when the Soviet Union, was one, Ukraine was a part of that, man. Just like Crimea was a part of that, which Putin got back. Just like Taiwan is a part of China, man. Taiwan is a part of China, man. Esau done stepped in with his stout look and tried to separate Ukraine from Russia and China from Taiwan. Man, the Lord just finna remove this devil, man. And everything will go back to the way it was because the so-called white man is going to be removed completely. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. And I will bring thee forth and all thy army, horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Who, Lord? Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou, and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou guard unto them. This is Jeremiah 51 and 27. It reads, Set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, many Ashkenaz, and appoint a captain, appoint a captain against her, cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. Prepare against her the nations with the king of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble in sorrow, for every purpose of Yahweh shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without any inhabitant. This didn't happen to the ancient Babylon, man. It's talking about America, Babylon the Great. So we are watching America push away its allies. The same way they force these nations to align with them, they are forcing them, they're pushing them away by force, man. They are pushing away the allies by force, but it's prophecy, because America will be left standing alone when it's time for destruction. This is verse 30. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. Everybody here is weak, man. Everybody want to be gamers and screamers, man. These niggas ain't going no. That's why they got to bring that draft back, man. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holes. Everybody want to be a gamer and a screamer. Their might have failed, because the Lord removed Babylon the Great's wisdom. Their might have failed. They became as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. See? It's over for America, man. And it's because of that look, man. And what did the Lord say in Isaiah 2? It's Isaiah 2 in verse 11. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of man shall be bowed down. And Yahweh alone shall be exalted in that day. For the day of Yahweh of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. See? It reads here, verse 17, and the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men, verse 17, shall be made low, and Yahweh alone shall be exalted in that day. See? We watching this happen, man. And what the Lord is doing, Isaiah 42 and 13, Yahweh shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yea, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies. Right? Remember Psalms 83? The Lord got enemies, starting with the so-called white man. I have long time holding my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. And this is what we are watching happen. What's that? Isaiah. Get one more here, 57. It's Isaiah 57 and 15. For thus saith the high and lofty one that inhabiteth eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the high holy place with him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit, which the so-called white man does not have, to revive the spirit of the humble, which is the remnant of Israel. You so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, West Indian, and Haitian men first, and then these men will rouse up the unnumbered multitude, which is men, women, and children, and to revive the heart of the contrite ones. See? But the Lord is bringing these devils low, man. This is beautiful here, man. This video is beautiful, man. Let me go back and put this guy on the screen. Look at this. Why does the U.S. fear the Venezuela, Iran, Russia alliance? Because it's prophecy in Ezekiel 38, man. This is prophecy. And I'm going to close with this. Job. Hey, the Lord is making these devils spew all the good stuff, man. They bringing out all the good stuff. Job 15:5. For my mouth uttereth thine iniquity. For thy mouth uttereth thine iniquity. See? For thy mouth uttereth thine iniquity. Everything about the so-called white man is iniquity, man. And thou choose the tongue of the crafty. Do the Lord make their own tongue fall upon themselves? And what are they spewing out? The iniquity and the crafty, the wickedness that they have done. And now it's starting to show, because it said in Proverbs 26, his wickedness shall be shown before the whole congregation. The world. The judgment of America. First, the dark secrets of America is all over. Social media, mainstream media. And then the judgment of it is going to be seen. Verse 6, thy own mouth condemneth thee, and not I, yet thy own lips testify against thee. The Lord was edifying. I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rikah, Quadash. Double honors to the apostles, elder, bishop, and elders of great millstone, who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether accepted or not. And a sincere salutation to all the Akim, believing this truth and pushing this truth with the four winds of the earth. Then tell you word, shedding light to those elect. Shalom to the Akwath who are listening, learning. If you sister listening throughout tuning in, may Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah continue to bless you in your houses. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. Till next time I say Shalom. Wa Abba. I got one more precept I want to read here. Right. It reads Job 24:21. He evil entreateth the barren that beareth not. What it say? The treacherous dealer dealeth treacherously, right? This is talking about Esau eating the so-called white man. This is talking about his last rulership, his last queendom, his last great white hope. Job 24:21. He evil entreateth the barren that beareth not, and doeth not good to the widow. He draweth also, listen to this, he draweth also the mighty with his power, with the force of the sword, because that's the only power the so-called white man got is the sword. Job 24:22. He draweth also the mighty with his power. He riseth up, and no man is sure of life. See, why is no man sure of life when the so-called white man riseth up? Because he's anti-life and pro-death. Though it be given him to be in safety, the Lord gave him the earth, and they fucking it up. Though it be given him to be in safety, whereon he rests, and he's supposed to mess up the earth. Yet his eyes are upon their ways. The Lord is watching them. They are exalted for a little while, but are gone and brought low. They are taken out of the way as all other, and cut off as the tops of the ears of corn. And if it be not so, who will make me a liar and make my speech nothing worth? See, it said they are exalted for a little while, but are gone and brought low. See, the scripture tell you that he was going to be loosed a little season to the seeded nations. They are exalted for a little while, but are gone and brought low, back to the bases of men. They are taken out of the way as all other kingdoms, all other government, all other rulerships. They will be removed as all other kingdoms, going back to the Greeks and the Romans.